So I've been going through these files on a village called Belpur, and the contrast is, it's honestly jarring. You've
Yeah.
got this, typical farming village sunlight, fields, the usual daily
But the
rhythms.
local accounts paint a very different picture at night.
Exactly. They describe this heavy, almost breathless atmosphere near the edge of the village, specifically around this one peepal tree.
It's a classic setup in folklore, isn't it? The seemingly idyllic surface that's hiding something rotten underneath.
Right. And the legend that comes with it is, well, it's chilling. People talk about seeing a woman under that tree rocking a baby.
And she asked him the question.
One question: where is my child? It's terrifying. But when you dig into the backstory, the story of Anjali, it stops being just a ghost story.
It becomes something so much heavier. And I think that's the right way to look at this. We're not really here to debate if ghosts are real.
Oh.
We're here to look at how a story like this gets made, how it goes from this heartbreaking domestic tragedy to full-blown supernatural horror.
So this deep dive is really about the social pressures that created the ghost.
Exactly. The pressures of patriarchy, the awful stigma of infertility, and how a whole community's guilt can manifest. It's less about a monster under a tree and more about the monsters inside a house.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning then. The files introduce us to Anjali. She marries into Raghuvir's family.
And from the very start, her role is defined. She's not a wife, not a partner.
She's a servant. The text says she'd been married for 8 years and was treated like a guest who had overstayed her welcome.
And it was all transactional. Her value was calculated from day one. I mean, they mocked her dowry.
Oh, yeah, the 2 utensils and an old cupboard line.
Right, that tells you everything. Her financial worth was low, so in their eyes, her human worth was too.
And that just gets amplified when she doesn't have a child right away. This is where we hit the core of the abuse, right? The stigma of being banja, barren.
It's a label that erases your entire identity. Raghuvir is constantly comparing her to his friends, saying they had 2 kids in 2 years. It's this relentless psychological pressure.
But the cruelty goes even deeper than that. There's a moment in the notes that it's just pure evil, the medical gaslighting.
Yes, this is crucial. So Anjali's mother, Rekha, comes to visit, and she's horrified by how sick her daughter looks.
She asks the father-in-law, Pyrav Singh, have you seen a doctor?
And he just laughs at her, laughs and says, oh yes, the doctor says the defect is in her.
Right.
But there was no doctor.
He just made that up.
He just made it up. And you have to understand, this isn't just a lie. It's a strategy.
A strategy for what?
For control. If they actually went to a doctor, what if the problem was with his son, Raghuvir?
Right.
By faking a diagnosis, he protects his son's masculinity and places all the blame, all the shame, directly on Anjali. It gives them justification for the abuse that follows.
And that abuse wasn't just behind closed doors.
No, it was public. The women at the village would gossip about her while she was right there trying to get water.
Yeah.
She felt the prick of fingers on her back.
It's just this constant public shaming.
And that's a tool, It's how a community polices its own.
Yeah.
And the tragedy is, Anjali starts to believe it. She internalizes it.
She thinks a baby will save her.
She thinks it's her only path to redemption. If she can just produce an heir, maybe they'll see her as human. Maybe the abuse will finally stop.
Which brings us to this huge turning point. After 5 years of this, she actually does get pregnant. She goes to a real doctor, gets it confirmed.
Yeah.
And she's overjoyed. She thinks, okay, this is it. I'm safe now. I have value.
And this is where you, the listener, might expect a happy ending. Right?
We hope.
But the files show us something much, much darker.
Yeah.
The pregnancy doesn't make them see her as human. It does the opposite.
It turns her into an object. Their reaction is, it's so cold, they aren't happy for her.
No, they're happy about the worries, the heir.
Let's unpack that term, worries.
Right. In this context, it's not just a baby. It's a piece of property. It's about land, lineage, money. It's an asset.
So when they find out she's pregnant, they call her a medium.
A vessel. Their plan, stated explicitly in the sources, was to let her have the baby and then kick her out.
That's unbelievable. And because they only care about the asset, not the person carrying it, they don't even bother to take care of her.
Not at all. She's still doing heavy labor, lifting water pots.
Eating stale roti scraps?
Yeah, the imagery is really stark. She's described as becoming skeletal while the baby grows inside her. It's like they're draining the life from her just to get what they want.
It's parasitic.
It is. It shows their desire for a child had nothing to do with love or family. It was pure greed. She was a disposable container.
Which leads us to the final, awful climax of the domestic story. She comes back from the doctor one day.
And the doctor has just warned her that she's dangerously weak.
Right. And she's so exhausted, she accidentally drops a plate of food. A thali.
Just an accident.
Yeah.
But Raghuveer is drunk,
And he explodes. He accuses her of doing it on purpose.
which is such a classic abuser tactic, isn't it? Twisting a victim's weakness into an act of defiance.
The violence that happens next is, I mean, it's hard to read. He beats her. He throws her against a wall. The in-laws just watch.
They do nothing.
And in her final moments, Anjali isn't even trying to protect herself. She's holding her stomach.
What does she scream?
At least stop for the baby.
That line is just, it's devastating. Even while being murdered, she's still trying to protect the very thing they claim to want. But the most telling part is what happens right after she dies.
The silence.
The silence. And then the pragmatism. The mother-in-law, Shantabai, just looks at her body and says,
Good, the trouble is over.
no remorse, no shock, no grief, just relief, and then immediately worrying about how to hide the body.
They treat her murder like it's a spill on the carpet, an inconvenience.
That's the absolute peak of dehumanization. Her life was worth less to them than their reputation, and so Raghuveer just carries her out back.
The source notes that even in death, her hands were still clutching her stomach.
Wow.
He buries her in the field behind the house. No funeral, no rites, no fire, just a hole in the dirt.
A field above and a mother with an unfinished life below. That's a direct quote from the text.
And they just wash their hands, go inside, and go to sleep. They try to just erase her.
And in a normal story, that's where it would end. A missing person, a secret buried in a field.
But this is where the story shifts. The domestic nightmare is over, and the supernatural horror begins.
And it begins with a sound.
It always does, doesn't it? 3 days later, Shantabai hears a baby crying.
And it's not just in her head.
No, the sound spreads through the whole house. At the same time, the villagers start seeing something by the peepal tree.
A woman rocking a child. This is where we need to bring in the folklore. The spirit they're describing is known as a Garbhavati.
What does that mean exactly?
In South Asian folklore, it's the spirit of a pregnant woman who dies a wrongful death, or with her desires unfulfilled. It's considered one of the most powerful and most feared types of spirits.
Why so feared?
Because it represents a profound violation of the natural order. A mother dying while carrying new life is in age. It's a double death. The Garbhavati spirit isn't just a ghost, it's the physical manifestation of a truth that refuses to stay buried.
So it's a kind of justice.
In a way, yes. It's a warning that the secrets you keep in your house will eventually come out and haunt the entire village.
And the haunting of Raghuveer's house becomes aggressive. It's not just sounds anymore.
No, it becomes psychological warfare.
Yeah.
Bharat Singh starts seeing Anjali in the courtyard, rocking a child that isn't there.
The temperature in the house drops. Windows rattle.
And you notice how the haunting is tailored to their crime, right? They wanted to erase the mother and keep the child.
So the ghost appears as the mother, desperately looking for that child.
It forces them to confront the very thing they tried to destroy. The source says they end up all sleeping in one room, just huddled together in fear.
And then comes the final night. The wind is howling inside the house. The doors are slamming.
And then she appears.
Anjali's spirit. And she asks them that one single question.
Where is my child?
By morning, they're all dead.
But look at how they died. The files are very specific. She didn't touch them.
No. The cause of death is listed as suffocation and shock.
Their own terror killed them.
Wow.
I find that so fascinating. It's almost a metaphor. The secret they tried to bury literally suffocated them in the end. The weight of their own crime crushed them.
So the villagers find the bodies. The secret is finally out. And they call in a tantric, a holy man named Haridas Baba.
Right. To deal with the spirit. And he confirms it. He says, yes, this is Anjali. And he knows exactly where to look. He points to the field.
He finds the grave.
Which leads to the resolution. And for me, this is the most poignant part of the whole story. The ritual to bring her peace.
It's not what you'd expect. No big dramatic exorcism.
No. Haridas Baba does something very different. He calls for Anjali's mother, Rekha. And he asks her to bring the things Anjali loved most.
Her favorite chocolates and a childhood doll.
That detail just stops you in your tracks, doesn't it? A doll and some chocolate.
It's heartbreaking because it reframes everything.
Exactly. It reminds you that before Anjali was a wife or a vessel or this terrifying spirit, she was just a girl. She was young. The doll is the childhood that was stolen from her. The chocolate is all the simple joys she was denied.
It gives her back her humanity.
Her very humanity, her in-laws tried to beat out of her. It's an act of remembering who she really was.
They unearth her body. And they finally give her and her unborn child a proper cremation together. The fire sets them free.
It provides closure to an extent, but the files don't end there, do they?
No. The last section mentions that even today, people who pass by those fields at night, they still feel a sudden, unnatural chill.
The legend persists.
The story of the woman asking, "Where is my child?" is now just part of the village's DNA.
And that's the stain of the tragedy. You see this a lot in folklore, the idea that some crimes are so profound, so against nature, that they leave a permanent scar on the land itself. The ritual might have quieted the spirit, but the ground remembers.
It's a heavy thought. We started this thinking it was a simple ghost story, a scary woman under a tree.
Mm.
But we're ending it realizing the ghost is just an echo. The real horror was the slow, systematic destruction of a person that happened in broad daylight, and nobody did a thing.
Precisely. The supernatural horror was born from the social horror. She wasn't created by a curse. She was created by the silence of neighbors, the cruelty of a family, and the impossible weight of a society's expectations.
It certainly makes you think about these local legends in a new light. They aren't just scary stories, they're histories, they're memories of things people tried very hard to forget.
But the land doesn't forget.
Well, on that somber note, we'll wrap up our deep dive into the Belpur files. A truly tragic story, but one that I think tells us a lot about where these legends really come from.
Absolutely. Thank you for walking through it with me.
And to you listening, maybe the next time you hear a local ghost story, ask yourself what happened on that land before the ghost ever appeared. The true story is almost always scarier. We'll see you in the next deep dive.